This is my 2013 Scion FRS, and normally in here there is an LS2. If you've been following me, you know exactly where this LS2 is at. If you haven't, I broke it. But I'm rebuilding it, and I'm doing it with the help of Tooley Racing. And in my last video talking about this car, we talked about camshafts and the camshaft that I'm putting into that car, into that V8. Now we're going to talk about some supporting mods for the camshaft and just for the way that I'm going to drive the car. So whenever you're taking this factory camshaft out and putting in an aftermarket camshaft, there are some extra parts that you should consider putting in to support the mods of the cam. Or I guess these are the supporting mods. Yeah. That's what I meant. These are the supporting mods. Let's talk about them finally. So I have chromoly one-piece push rods. I have a trunnion upgrade. I have valve springs, and I have lifters. Let's start with the valve springs. The reason you're going to step up to a stiffer or stronger valve spring is because with higher RPM and with a aftermarket camshaft that has higher lift and longer duration as well, you're going to want to make sure that when you're up in the RPM range that your valve is going to return to its seat fast enough so that you don't get valve flow. And the way that you do that is you put in a nice aftermarket valve spring. Look at that. There's two of them in there, because you know 2 is obviously better than 1. But as things tend to trickle downhill, the failure point just moves. When you upgrade your valve springs to a much stiffer spring, you're also going to want to get some aftermarket push rods. Let me show you those. So over here I have one of the factory push rods, and you can see it's just, it's a regular push rod, right? It's dirty, it's got some mileage on it. Let's show one of the BTR push rods. Get this bad boy open. All right, I've got these just laying side by side here, and although the size is about the same, to be honest, you can just tell that by holding it at least. This is a heavier material. It's going to be a lot stronger. Could I get away with my factory push rods? Who knows? Maybe. Didn't want to risk it, because with a stiffer spring, what's going to happen here? Let me put my phone up. Hang on. All right, when you put more spring pressure on the push rod, there is a higher chance that it is going to bend. That is why you go to an aftermarket push rod, because these aftermarket ones can hold the extra pressure of the spring, right? And like I just said, as failures tend to trickle downhill, I also got some aftermarket lifters to support the extra load on the push rod. Ever since I got into cars, I started hanging out with a lot of guys that did LS builds, and they always talked about doing LS7 lifters. Got to do LS7 lifters. Anytime you're modifying an LS, do LS7 lifters, right? Well, I never actually knew why. I knew that was the thing to do. I just never knew the reason. Let me show you the reason. So this is the factory lifter out of the 6-liter LS2 that was originally in the car, that's going back in the car but getting upgraded, right? So this is a factory LS2 lifter. You can see it's got some pretty good support around the roller here. It's got a decent amount of material here where it's actually going to slide in the lifter bore, right? Let me show you the LS7 one. Okay, so right away, the first thing I noticed when I pulled them out of the box, there's a lot more material around the actual roller here that's going to support a lot more load and not have as much failure, right? There's also a lot more material that is actually going to be in contact with the lifter bore, so it's going to be a lot more rigid and a lot more solid in its hole, right? The biggest thing though is the bowl where the lifter sits. You can see on the LS7 one, it's quite a bit bigger. So the LS7 one is actually designed for larger diameter push rods as well. So if I do end up going to an even stiffer spring, even bigger profile camshaft, these will still be good for the amount of pressure on the valve train, right? So yeah, that was pretty interesting to finally learn. I knew that everyone took these out and put the LS7 lifters in, but I never knew why, and I never researched it. I just figured, I'll figure it out one day. And the last thing I have in my pile here is my trunnion upgrade right there. See that? And the trunnion upgrade is going to take all of the guts of these rockers and it's going to replace them with a upgraded trunnion. That's just going to be for when I'm, banging it off limit or doing a bunch of dumb shit and having fun. So anyway, I hope that was somewhat educational. I hope maybe you learned something, and I really want to thank BTR for coming on board and helping me out with this car, because I've always wanted a cammed V8 in something, and when I had to pull the LS out to get it rebuilt, it just seemed like a perfect time to hit up BTR, and thankfully they were kind enough to hop on board. And I've always loved BTR products. I've always heard of using BTR products. They have a real staple in at least the area that I'm around for doing LS modifications, so it feels pretty cool to have them on board. So happy Friday. I'll see you in the next video.